Hello, everyone, and welcome to another horrific review. Chris and I are back as we manifest our deepest desires with Wishmaster 3 Beyond the Gates of Hell, directed by Chris Angel. The evil Djinn are back at it again, this time wreaking havoc on the students at Illinois Baxter University. Here we are, another Wishmaster, and a bit of a change, which I'd completely forgotten about, but
My deepest desire is for a better movie.
yeah, this was rough.
This
Uh,
changed like almost everything that I liked about the first two, and I wasn't expecting that. A lot of times, the third one in these franchises tends to be one of the better ones. I think Tremors 3 was a pretty decent showing. Sometimes they pick up on what is it, Army of Darkness was the third one.
yep, Nightmare on Elm
Yeah,
Street 3, yeah, loads. It's just
Leper Leprechaun 3 I think was the
yep,
one in Vegas.
that
Yeah.
was yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
they sort of get the the story beats and then put together. But the biggest problem, of course, is not having Andrew Divoff, and it's actually just funny enough, coincidentally, it's just quite recently that he talked about this. So we have a bit of a news article to talk about.
Oh, cool.
I thought
I'm
this will give us some context before moving forward with the review.
yeah.
So
What's the
Andrew,
what's the
right,
date on this? I'm just curious.
uh,
Let's
I
see,
don't know. It popped up
March
recently.
March 2025.
This year anyway, but it popped up. I think because I was looking
Okay.
for Wishmaster stuff, and then
Yeah, yeah.
it popped up.
Cool.
But recent enough interview anyway. I mean, it's this franchise is like years old, and he's only talking about it this year. So Andrew Divoff reveals why he didn't return for Wishmaster 3 or 4. While doing press for the Westron Video Wishmaster collection, Andrew Divoff opened up the Gigadelphia about his departure from the Wishmaster franchise and weighed in on playing the role one more time. So basically, I think he was trying to get in as a producer role. I think that's what and usually you find that with long run franchises, the main actor or actress will become a producer and actually part of the franchise, as opposed to just being the part.
I can see that, but like, Bruce Campbell is, Evil Dead.
Yeah, so he's a producer. I mean, he's executive
Yeah.
producer. He's part of the franchise. I think
Oh, you
Colin
mean
and
he
Chris.
wanted he wanted to be a producer and still star in it?
Yeah, that's usually what
Oh,
happens. Even
oh,
in
oh.
TV shows,
I
normally
see.
the main lead, becomes a producer. Sometimes part time director. They do get more involved as opposed to just the leading role. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. He deserved it. I mean, basically, he's the draw. He's what's compelling about these movies. Um, Without him, this is a clear example how it just didn't work.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I'm curious so that's what he's saying in the article is that he wanted to be producer and they didn't want to. They were
Yeah, so he
greedy.
had a script for the third one, and he had presented it, and basically, he said he was overshooting the mark and what was expected from special effects. Some of the things that were included. So he wanted gargoyles coming off buildings, coming to life, and I think he wanted like a Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. I think he wanted the Djinn actually coming to the Earth in the third one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Total actually opening and the sort of wiping out of mankind beginning, and then getting pulled back to the last break, which would kind of make sense for a third one as
It'd be pretty.
well.
It'd be pretty epic.
But
Yeah, that would be a compelling movie.
yeah, cost etc. I just don't understand. He's very polite about it. To put it like this, he's and the fact that he's taking part in the promotion for the box set sort of says he wants to keep in good graces. I don't know how he went from presenting a script to completely parting company. I could understand him going, yeah, that's not going to work. We're going to do this instead, or can we tone it down? And I'm doing the third movie, so there's something's happened there in between. Now he said it was amicable; they both agreed to part ways.
No, my guess. Obviously, I don't have any insider information, but just from having very limited experience in writing something recently, about a year or so ago. I wrote my first story I've ever written. You get very attached to it, especially if you're a creative person and care about what you're doing. And if this was his script that he had worked on for a while and presented it to the studio and the studio rejected it, I could definitely see him saying, "You know what? Then I'm not going to be a part of it, even as an actor." I could see that, and it's
Mm.
not logical. I'm sure it hurt him in the pocketbook, but pocketbook, who says that? But you know what I mean? Like I feel like that's probably something like that took place where he overreacted to the studio rejecting his script.
Yeah, there's conversation. It's got really heated, and then that's it happens. It happens at all levels in all life. It's just one
Yeah.
of them things. Wrong thing was said at the wrong time, and that's it. Lit, touch papers lit. Boom, way it
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it seems like there was some. I think he's playing it down, like the way the conversation went, because he said here, "What would Dave Off's one wish be?" And the actor still had plenty of love for the franchise and hasn't ruled out a return to the property at some point. Wonder, I need to look up what he, because this is his 2025 interview, so um, I don't know what age he is, but it's not a very physical role anyway. It's a character-driven role, Wishmaster.
Right.
So I can see
I
him still.
I saw like a interview with him in fairly recently. He still looks good. It's not like
Mhm.
he, even though his movies are from a while ago, um he probably could do it.
Yeah, the only
Yeah.
thing is the prosthetics. Obviously, that's a full physical workout. That's the only problem with this sort of thing.
He's 70 years old. He just turned 70 July 2nd. But if you see a picture of him, like he
Yeah.
still looks good. He hasn't fallen apart like this guy over here. So he keeps himself in good shape and yeah, he could absolutely do it.
Yeah, like I
Like you
said, it
said,
would just be the prosthetics. It would be wearing that, 8 hours a day, getting that all put on would be the uh maybe the deal breaker. But then again, we've got CGI, we've got stunt doubles,
and to
motion capture. There's ways that do it now.
yeah. And to me, he was always more intimidating, like not moving much, like
Mm.
it was all his
Still presence,
presence.
yep.
Y- Yeah. So I don't think it's a physical role. So he absolutely would be able to do it. And yeah, that's maybe what the franchise needs to reboot.
Yeah, the actor brings the charisma to the role that is sorely lacking from the later installments, which we're going to talk
Yeah.
about now. But there we
Yeah.
go. I thought it was just important that we maybe give
Yeah.
some context, and this article just popped up at the right time. So there you go.
Yeah, very cool. The one thing that I'm disappointed though is because I try not to look ahead, so knowing he's not going to be in the fourth one either is kind of kind of a letdown.
Yeah, but here, who knows?
Yeah,
This could come back. Everything's coming back at the moment, so
yeah,
we can see what happens. Eh?
yeah, for sure, for sure.
There we go. Right now, now to dive into this absolute movie. um, what I will say, I like the protagonist in this more than the second installment.
Yes,
I have to give the movie that the Diana, for example, is more relatable.
yeah, for sure. And she's a college student. She's had a you know a trauma as a child that she's still having nightmares and still working through. As opposed to the second one, Morgana, it's assumed that something happened to her because she's on her own. During the movie, once the boyfriend dies, and she has to go back to her ex-boyfriend, for help. But you open up with her, robbing and shooting someone, and she just doesn't become likable. And then she manipulates the priest later on.
Mhm.
So there was nothing likable about Morgana in the second one. Whereas, yes, Diana in this one, the actress did a great job with it, and the flaws of the movie have nothing to do with her, in my opinion.
No, but right. So you're American, right?
Uh oh, that doesn't that sentence doesn't start well.
It's it baffles me to this day. Right, you don't have corners. You don't have windy roads. Just big, long, straight roads and big junctions and blocks. How the fuck just managed to crash cars? And I've seen that like 2 miles up the road. There's no cars. I'm like, you're like, what the hell?
Well, look, I'm no car instructor or driving instructor is probably the way humans speak. But I think if you're driving a car like this and and you're not looking at the road, I don't care how
Yeah.
straight the road is, there's gonna be a problem. That dad was looking in the back seat for a good 30 seconds in a row.
For what? But even at that, like this big long straight road, you'd see that huge truck like miles away.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you know what I mean? Oh, shock, surprise. Like, how intense was that conversation about nothing?
Yeah, I couldn't even figure out. It was something about a museum.
She
He was
didn't
gonna
want to
take.
go or something, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's a weak script. I'll give it that. It's a weak script. That's it's hard to suspend disbelief for this script. It's just like, come on.
Yeah, and now hearing that the other actor, Davidoff, that he
Obviously.
submitted a script that was rejected.
Hmm.
They rejected it for this one. It makes it even more,
What could have
doesn't make
been,
the
sort of
studio look
thing.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. How
but
bad could that script have been that they picked this one?
no, but we've seen this. This is something thought with horror and the studios. The studios will splurge hundreds of millions on a dopey movie that will tank. But if they give a couple of million or a couple of 100,000 to a horror project, they will micromanage it. They
Yeah,
legit micromanage horror projects for some reason, even though the amounts that they spend are minimal. And everybody in the studio has to get involved for some reason. We've seen it with Hellraiser. We've seen it with Nightbreed, a lot of Clive Barker stuff. We've seen it with Nightmare on Elm Street. We've seen it with the Friday the 13th franchise. I mean, every franchise, every horror property, the studios micromanage them for some strange reason. I don't know
yeah,
why. But they'll, 200 million on superhero stuff that nobody gives a shit about anymore. Boof. No problem. Oh dear, it tanked and we've lost millions. So, well. Maybe the next one. Oh, 5 million for a horror movie that fans actually like and the people invested love it. Oh, we're going to watch every step you make. It's
yeah. Where do
freaking
you
weird.
where do you think that is? Do you think maybe it's horror still has like a stigma, so they feel like the superhero ones are more. It looks better for their
Well, I'm
resume.
just using superhero. You know what I mean? It could be an action
Yeah,
flick. It could
yeah, yeah,
be a rom com. You know what I mean? They'll splurge dopey amounts of money at it. You know what I mean? It just
yeah,
because it's a sort of current thing that's waning in popularity, and they haven't made a profit yet on a movie in a couple of years, and they're still throwing stupid amounts of money at them and make them, and they don't bat an eyelid. But if it's a
yeah,
horror project, they will micromanage and interfere and get involved, and this is another classic example of it. Something's happened there.
yeah, yeah. You're right.
I
You
just
could
seen the
definitely.
pattern repeat. And I'm just like, why? What the hell? This is easy money. If you just get the fans what they want, Kerching, and for minimum investment, and I'll always use that. That'll be uh the lesson. If you ever learn about film, Terrifier 3, Joker 2 is the perfect lesson. Like that was fantastic.
Okay.
You familiar?
No,
Joker 2, what I
no, I didn't see it.
300 million, no, not right, but $300
Oh,
million budget tanked.
yeah.
Terrifier 3, 75,000, less than a million, became the most profitable movie of all time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Absolutely blew it out of the water. They were both released within like a week of each other, and yeah, Joker 2 bombed, and Terrifier 3 just became like this, I don't know, icon. That's just,
Yeah.
and it's like known now as like the most profitable movie because the insane, they made like 400 million or something, and it
Oh,
was like
wow.
a minuscule budget.
That's amazing.
you know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying about the example of horror is an easy win. Horror's been keeping the cinema doors open, like because nobody's going to see the other ones.
Yeah, I think there's still this communal experience that it is better to see it in a theater to get the the loud the big sound effects, the big screen, the jump scares. It's got a lot of appeal to it. It just doesn't translate as well to home, even though that's how I exclusively watch these things.
Hmm.
I do still see that this is a type of genre that you really do want to see in the theater if you can.
Well, Cameron and I were talking about this on Sunday. For example, The Conjuring Last Rites coming out this weekend. Um, it's all right for us gnarly old veterans that have watched thousands of horror movies. Like we're sort of like jaded. You go to the cinema to get the experience of like the noobs or the younger ones, that are still going, and
Yeah,
jumping because you're like,
the popcorn getting thrown in the
yeah,
air. Yeah.
go for that experience. Like, what was it? I just laughed. The Nun 2, when I went to see that, I'm like, and meanwhile, there's kids going, in the audience. When I say kids, I mean like people in their 20s, because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm an old gnarly person. But you know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
watching young adults, and uh, maybe somebody's taking them going for the first time to see a horror movie, and they're jumping that, and you sort of feed off that. You know what I mean? It's and it
Yeah,
reminds you back to when you were doing that.
absolutely. Yeah, it's just it's like a sporting event.
Mm,
You could watch a sporting event at home, but being there and like feeding off like we're still a communal species. Like we're not meant to be isolated. And I think the pandemic kind of exacerbated where I think society was already kind of headed, this separation, and you could do everything from home. You could get food delivered at home, you could work from home, you could do everything from home, but you're missing out. Like we're meant to be, in close proximity to each other,
we're
and especially for a horror movie, I could
Yeah,
definitely
we're
see
a
it.
tribal animal. You know what I mean?
Tribal animal. That's a good way to
That's what
put
we
it.
are.
Yeah.
And I think people are starting to realize that, and that's why people are going back to physical media. People are going back to wanting to meet up and stuff. But then you've got lunatics that, because they had a bit of power, the sort of people that shouldn't have power are like, no, I was in control there for a minute. I want to go back to being in control again. Like,
Yeah.
shut up.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's strange times we're living in, but then it's the only way we learn lessons as a species. It has to be take it right to the edge, doesn't it? Go to crisis point. There's no learning from history. There's nothing that we just
No.
have to go for it and then get right that tipping point, then put ourselves back and then do it all over again with something else.
We have such a short memory as a species. Yeah. I could. This is kind of an odd tangent, but what came to mind when you said that about a short memory. I remember living in New York right after 9/11. The first couple of months after that, like society changed, and it was wonderful. People were asking, "Are you okay? Do you need help? Do you need food? Do you need me to take you somewhere? Do you have someone that in the city that you're waiting to hear from? I'll take you to the hospital. We'll ask around." There was this sense of community and living close to New York City around that time. And then 3-4 months later, started to go back, and within 6 months, it was as if it never happened.
Mhm.
So it's yeah, it's sad that we can't learn from the past. Yeah.
No, that's it's just that's the way we are. I think you have to kind of accept that, and that's the thing. I'm not about social engineering. I don't, it doesn't matter how many times you poke or try to sway, and that it's only ever going to be temporary. There's no
Yeah.
utopia. We are who we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
as a horror fan, I think you understand that more because horror explores the extremes of humanity. So the Hostel, The Purge, any post-apocalyptic film, all the zombie movie. You know what I mean? We always go and look at humanity in its extreme.
Yeah.
Even even this series, the Wishmaster series, it's showing the extremes of desire. How twisted can somebody be? What is it
Yeah.
they want, and how can it be turned and twisted? Now, what I will say about this is basically this is a cop out. This is softcore porn, in a sense. You know what I mean? Aimed at young adult teenage boys. Let's be Let's be honest, they've really copped out with this entry.
Yeah, and they took away the two elements that I thought were the keys to my personal enjoyment of the first two. One we already mentioned was the main actor. Without him, this the whole charisma, the whole panache, everything that was great about the Djinn is gone. He's not even like scary. He's not intimidating. Absolutely
When he first
no.
appears, that digital voice, that was me. Just it was like a light switch. Once I heard that voice and I realized it was, well, not realized, it was sort of smacked you in the face. It was a digital effect that the
Yeah,
actor couldn't even use their own voice. At least Devoff used his own voice and just put on a bit of a, maybe a bit of a lure. It's the same as Robert Englund with Freddy Krueger. You know what I mean? That was his voice. It was just toned down slightly, but he's the one that does it.
yeah, yeah. And without that, there's nothing intimidating. And even the professor, because basically the professor is the Djinn for the majority of the movie. Very
Mhm.
few times do you see him actually in his evil Djinn form. So it's basically you're watching a professor, attack these college students the entire movie. And attack is not even the right word. It's mostly walking.
Yeah.
You see him walking down halls, walking upstairs the entire
I
movie.
think they tried to turn this into a slasher. I
Very
think
few
that
kills. Yeah,
no, but I think they tried to
yeah,
make it, the slow walking killer. But
yeah,
that's a completely different vibe.
yeah. But and how many times though, like the slow walking approach works when he catches up to you eventually, and then something horrible happens.
Mm.
But there were a bunch of times when he finds the girl in her room and he's looking for Deanna, and she's just getting dressed to go out, and he's looking around in the room for Deanna, and then she's not there, and then he just leaves. And I'm like, what? Like this guy's supposed to be like intimidating, like, oh my gosh, like this is a Djinn, and she's about to die. Now she dies later on. But I'm just saying, what was the point of that scene of him looking in so right away you're
And
taking the fear away from the character.
yep, and I was Eleanor, and
Eleanor.
she was telegraphed like the first scene in the middle of broad daylight. She's like, "I'm gonna steal your boyfriend," yeah, like right in front
Yeah.
of Diana. You're like, and even her boyfriend's going, "Huh, huh?"
Yeah, so
Yeah,
just not successful. The professor just I'm sorry. I just he didn't work for me as the
and I don't think the
villain.
actor was a problem. He could have done it, but the Hobbleton, they didn't give him anything to work with. And also,
Yeah,
it could have worked as a franchise because we know it's not just the same Djinn.
right.
We know it's a race. The Djinn are a race, and that's fair enough. So there's the opportunity for maybe multiple Djinns to appear, or a different one tries, etc. Not just the alchemist stone, but there's other ways they're trapped. There's so much you could do with this franchise,
Yeah.
and this is the direction they went.
Yeah. So I was gonna say, so the two things that were missing from this one, the first one we talked about, the actor not being there as the Djinn. The other one was, where was the humor? Like
Mm,
if you remember, like the last movie, the scene where the lawyer fucks himself
yep.
in the room. There was and like the two like karate fighter prisoners, and the franchise didn't take itself too seriously in the last
I had the
movie. And
right balance.
yeah, there was no humor in this one. I can't think of a single scene that was like, oh, that's a little funny, right?
Like I said, that's why I wanted to cover the article because
Yeah.
the studio's done this. This is 100% uh, straight to DVD. Studio interfered. Everyone's on the committee, chucking in stuff on post-it notes. Um, do you know what this reminds me of? Wild Things 2.
I might have seen that. I'm not sure. I definitely saw the first one.
Right.
Yeah.
So you do know there's two sequels, straight to DVD sequels of Wild Things 2, of
I
Wild Things.
didn't. No.
Right.
No.
This is that. It's just, oh, that people like that. Let's do that again. And that's it. They're
Yeah.
terrible. I mean, like I didn't like the first one. The first one was awful. I don't like Neve Campbell. I don't like um who else was in that?
Denise Richard, what's her?
Yeah, they're just classic 2000s actors that I didn't like that era of actors, to be
Yeah.
honest. They just turned me off. That annoyed me. Um but yeah, the sequels were worse than that movie.
Okay.
And they're just like, oh, they like that. Let's do the threesome scene again. You're like, oh, go away. Just go away. It's like Slumber Party Massacre 3. Like,
I
that's
remember.
another studio creative one. Oh, they like that scene. And there's no feeling behind it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's something you can't quantify. I think we've talked about it. We cannot. Studios have wanted to bottle this, and just churn it out, but they're missing the whole point of there has to be a feeling of intent behind a movie,
Yeah.
behind a story, behind a book. It doesn't matter, behind a painting. There has to be a feeling of emotion because that's what creates the thing. Even doing this, you know, you have to enjoy what you do. You can't just be, oh, I'm doing this because the algorithm says I have to say these words. Well,
Right. Right. Right.
what's the point?
Yeah.
People twig on straight away. There's so many fake YouTubers out there that just do things to get pumped up for the algorithm, and yeah, they'll get what people millions of people tune on to one video, but they won't follow them. But it's enough for them to make money, if that makes sense. Because once you
Yeah.
watch it, they're like, it's stale, it's
And it
manufactured. There's no feeling behind it.
and it's always the same thing. It's always like the worst movie ever, and they have like the thumbnail and they're like yelling, and
Mm.
you could always see it a mile away that because it's always like a negative slant, and it's always yeah,
Yeah,
there's no
rage
thought
baiting.
behind it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you can just tell that they don't believe they're saying it to be hyperbolic, just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
That's what it's so obvious, and it just turns me off. But that's what this movie is. It's that corporate, uh, made by committee. What worked for the first two? Let's stick it in. Right, we got rid of the main actor for reasons, and yeah, let's try and just get this one out for rights purposes or something.
I think maybe studios with franchises, they feel like, especially back in the day before like the internet was as you couldn't see trailers as easily. I know this was made what in 2000, 2001.
Yeah, early 2000s.
So I mean the internet I guess was up and running, but it you didn't have
Nothing like.
nothing like now. You weren't bombarded with trailers and stuff like that. So I'm guessing the studio felt like, let's get this made as quickly as possible, and people will buy the DVDs based on the fact that it's a sequel without really looking into the trailers to see if it's something that looks good. So I think there's something to that, back then where they just wanted to rush to get it out and hope that you're buying it based on the previous movies as opposed to
Oh, this
based
is
on
sold
word
as
of mouth.
box sets and all. You know what I mean? The home DVD
Yeah.
sales. I think I bought it as a box set when all four came out. That's what you did.
Right.
So, because I think even rentals weren't the same. I think most of us have starting to move away from rentals. Just ban them because it was cheaper,
Hmm.
more economical. And you got the big titles, but the things like Wishmaster, that was the bar. You know what I mean? That was in the horror section in the back, and I don't know. You bought it as a bundle, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. A trilogy. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Wishmaster trilogy.
No, but I
Yeah.
mean, you'd have bought it as a bundle with other, three movies for $10 or something.
Oh, I
It would have
see.
been that sort of
Yeah.
thing. You'd have just been
Yeah.
picking them up. Oh,
Yeah.
right. And you just bought a bunch. That's what I used to do back in the day.
Yeah.
Greg is a funny. I think that actor was done dirty with his character, Diana's boyfriend. They, first of all, they made his character schizophrenic because he's the loving, understanding boyfriend 1 minute, and then when the plot needs it, he's a petulant child. Like, what was that about?
Yeah, she like opens up to him and stuff like that in the room, and then he just kind of like flips out on her. That was such a weird spin.
Or the, oh, you've got to go work, or you've got to go study tonight. Why aren't we going out partying? When he
Mm,
just in the first scenes, he's not like that.
yeah,
And then they flip
yeah.
his character, and then they make him the angel, and you're like, what the hell?
It was hard to keep track of him. I will say the angel thing was interesting. I thought that was the only positive thing they added to the franchise. I thought that was an interesting wish, and that was potentially a good story idea.
Hmm.
But then the angel says, "Yeah, no, I'm not allowed to really kill him. You know, I could just like kind of like be here for you and hang out with you." So I was like, "Ah, this was potentially a really cool battle." But then it just disappeared as soon as he's like, "No, no, no, I'm not
I
really
I,
allowed to do
I think
much."
because neither of the actors could fight.
Yeah,
I don't think
yeah,
that helped.
yeah. That was a terrible fight scene.
Which
Yeah,
one? There was like three, and oh god.
they're all equally bad. Yeah.
Once again, I think I have to apologize to Peter Cushing because I have been reeling on him for over his movie history for his terrible fight scenes, but maybe not.
Yeah,
Maybe there's worse out there.
he looked like Muhammad Ali compared to this. Yeah.
And
Or whatever British fighter you want to go with. Lennox Lewis. I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know fighting.
no,
Who
but
is the best fighter? Lennox Lewis? I'm trying to think all
probably
time.
back in the day, but he's probably probably Nigel Benn or
I've heard of him.
see after Chris Eubank, I give up in boxing.
Okay.
He was the last interesting boxer, and that was it. After him, like
Yeah.
there was just nobody could compare. Who's that big dopey? I don't like him at all. Uh, he kept going on about because he fought this Russian guy and broke his hand during a fight. He just no charisma, and I hate Tyson Fury. He is absolute filth.
Okay.
That's just horrible. You don't want to support people like that. They're just scumbags. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
if it wasn't a boxer, it'd be robbing your house sort of thing. Just for them. Or being a racketeer or mob enforcer. He's just one of
Yeah.
them type. Uh, you get that sort of vibe off someone.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, after Chris Eubank, I give up on boxing because nobody is even remotely interesting. Um, but yeah, that's the fight scenes. Why do it? Why do fight choreography? This was never the franchise,
Yeah, another example how they just they didn't it's like they didn't watch the first two movies when they
yep.
made this one.
And even the first two. The Djinn never chased the protagonist.
Right.
The protagonist had to go to the Djinn because she was going to witness. Uh, you know, she's connected and she's seeing these things, and she's the one that has to go to the Djinn. They're the rules if we go by the first two movies.
Right.
So this whole chase scene around a college campus, just why?
And it was so much walking down the same hallways. I know they tried to make it look like it was a different building, but it was the same hallway.
Yeah, it's filler. It's just filling up time, padding it out.
Yeah. And if you're going to make the setting a college campus, you can't have it so completely deserted 90% of the movie. Like, did you notice that? Like, aside from like that one scene of the frat party, or
That's
like
all the extras. You know what I mean? The
yeah,
kit for the movie. So they put them all in one room. That's it. And they're
yeah.
half a day's work.
But those hallways were completely empty. And it just I don't know, it takes you out of the supposed realism of the movie. Like if that's the setting which you picked, you got to stick with it,
Hmm.
you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel like this was thrown together.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And then we've got this. Everybody's splitting up just to do things. And what was it? Diana runs off. She wants to go back to the museum because she thinks something happened to the professor, and she doesn't take Greg with her. And he's starting to suspect because the professor in question had a bit of a reputation.
Yeah, she just witnessed in her mind someone getting murdered, the professor getting
Yep.
murdered, and then she's like, "No, you stay. I'm gonna go alone and check this out." It just didn't. None of the decisions the characters made any sense.
No, even the original professor, who the Djinn took over, like
Yeah,
his wish was like, "That's what you wish for." Like two of the most generic people ever. I
yeah,
just, yeah, it just felt forced. Like I said, the sort of got this in a notepad. Oh, they'll like that, and just don't have a clue what the first two brought to the table.
yeah. And what was that like? That B storyline that they just referenced, where he apparently had like inappropriate relations with a student, and like
That's what I
everyone
said. The
seemed,
professor had a bit of a reputation, and Diane was
yeah,
rushing off on her own without Greg beside her, and he's starting to get suspicious or jealous. And
and everyone knew about it. Like
yeah,
even the secretary, the person who worked with the files, the administrative woman
oh,
who burns up in the fire.
Mrs. Coughlin. Oh, that
Yeah,
was a
Mrs. Because he asks her for a file on, and she's like, "You of all people know that you can't be looking into files of students," and she gives him like a nod, so she knows about this. And how does he still have a job?
yeah, the open secret. Yeah, weird.
It's so
That was the
weird.
worst wish as well.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
She wished for the files to burn so she could get out of there. So how did that translate to her going on fire?
Right, right. Did not even close to the wish. That's been a constant problem I've had from the beginning, and you've taken the opposite approach, and I respect your opinion. But I feel like the Wishmaster should grant some semblance of the wish
Hmm.
and then kill them. But a lot of these people don't get anything near what they ask for.
I think it's wordplay. It's meant to be
I know.
wordplay. Be careful what you wish for, and
I
it's a
knew you were gonna say
bad
that.
script. No, but it's just
Yeah.
a bad. And this is an example of the script being written that badly and nobody giving a shit. That
Yeah.
it's not even remotely in the realms. The first two you can sort of squint and go, yeah, I can see it. That's a cat. I'm just like, nope, nope,
Yeah.
nope. Oh, even like the professor at the start, and it wasn't two of the students. Like Diana should have been one of the students. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Not these two random chicks who turned up,
Yeah.
but off the board set next door.
Right, right,
Let's be
right.
honest, that's what they were. What I mean? They're two um, poor actresses just turned up because the script needed it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, this is painful.
But like some of the wishes they have done pretty decent. Like I remember in the second one where there was the guy in jail who wished that he wanted to walk out of this jail cell.
Yeah, and the police holding cell.
Yeah, the police holding cell. Yeah, and then he walks through, and so that, okay,
Yeah,
that's good. That's what I want to see more of. Where, okay, it's a creative way to give them sort of their wish, but her saying that she wants the files to
she
be
was
sent on.
very specific.
Yeah, yeah. Not one file got on fire.
No, not even what I mean, the fireproof filing cabinets, and that was it. It's
Yeah.
just like, what are you doing?
And even then, though, even at the end of that scene, the Djinn tells her, "All I wanted was one file," or something like that.
Hmm.
He has a comment that he like almost didn't want to do it. He's like, "I just wanted one file." He tells her, like almost like kind of regretting. And I was like, "That's not even the same character from the first two movies who
No,
like relished in granting wishes." You know.
it's
Now I know.
watching it turn back on the user. You know what I mean? It's be careful what you wish for. Again,
Yeah.
that's the whole premise, and yeah, that was bad.
Yeah.
Um, even the box, like, but we knew where the box was coming from. It was so telegraphed, horrible. Like, he's just like, oh, here we go. It just didn't feel the same.
Oh, the gem came from.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. The fact that it got shipped in a box to a random, professor, like, yeah, sure, we'll send priceless antiques, artifacts, archaeological artifacts. We'll just send it.
Mhm.
UPS shipping, 2-day mail. Yeah, no problem.
The first one was an art studio, like a high end art studio, and
Yeah,
high end art collectors, high society. Made sense. The second was a museum that had
right.
legitimacy.
Yeah,
A a college archaeological. They weren't even on the dig. Like, oh my god, they could have went out to a sand pit. It would have been more believable.
yeah,
Just go out to a
yes,
sand pit and then pretend they're digging in Carrow or something.
100%. Yeah, that's a great point. Even the first one, they had like the boat, they were shipping everything, they had a lot of people involved. Like, put
It
an effort.
felt legitimate.
Yeah, make an effort.
This felt like no effort at all. And
Yeah, yeah.
uh, I always remember the fourth one because the fourth one's really strange. I forgot about this one. I completely blanked this one over, and
I can see why.
now I remember what that like. Oh yeah, I'm already forgetting it. And it's like this will just go delete from memory because it's not even worth getting upset about. It's just that badly. It's just a poor effort, and you're like, okay,
Yeah,
that's a thing.
very very bland. No humor, no craft, no care that was put into it. Excuse me. Yeah.
Hmm. And then another scene that could have been really good and wouldn't have cost money, but because of the script, was when he actually stood up in front of the class and he gave the lecture. And they were talking about Helen of Troy, and it just felt so forced.
That's a great point. Yeah, I was looking into it like, oh, here we go. He's going to like, some student is gonna like be rude to him, and he's gonna like punch him in the stomach or something like that, or he's gonna give like some graphic account of what actually took place in Hell Little Short. Like I thought that could be a really interesting, conversation, something like that. And it's
What
just
if
like a
I told you, and then it goes into a flashback, and then you have the
yeah,
whole class sitting there going,
yeah. Their brains are just like, what just happened?
yeah,
Yeah.
no.
Instead, he played along with the charade that he's just a professor. Like no one would have suspected anything of him after that. Excuse me. Yeah.
And yeah, our friends that all of a sudden he's talking about the Djinn, and like they're not putting two and two together because the plot needs it to be, they need to believe at the right time, and the plot says.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
just like, oh come on. Like, is this even trying?
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I'm struggling. I don't want to be negative the whole time because I just said like a lot of people on YouTube are always negative. So I'm trying to find some
No, but when it's
positive.
justified, here's the thing. I'm not,
Yeah.
you know us. If we like something, we like something. If we don't, we don't.
Yeah.
But this is a hard movie. So much waste. There, like you said, the concept of bringing the angels in. It's like, did you ever watch Spawn, the series?
No.
Right, when eventually the angels get involved. So was when Spawn actually encounters heaven. You know what I mean? And you see that, these have been at war for centuries, and the angels are actually just as bad, and humanity's just caught in the middle. It was really good. Couple of episodes in that.
Okay.
That's what I was looking for. You know, if an angel gets involved and it's the battle, um, I get the perspective.
Yeah.
Oh, wasted again. Yes, they're a new actor, so why not give them a chance? Play into his roles. Okay, so we're not gonna get a replication of Divoff. That's his Djinn. So let's have another one.
Right. Right.
It's already set up that there's multiple Djinns. So why have the stone again? Let's do something else.
Yeah.
And it's another one of his brothers, and then he could be trying to reach out. My brother attempted this, for he failed. Now I will fulfill our legacy. There's so much. That How much did that cost for that line?
Right.
I just made up in
Nothing.
my head like half a second ago there as I was doing it.
Yeah. It's free. Yeah.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And I'm no talented writer. There's talented writers, better out there. Why can't they think of this stuff?
But
That
you
do
have
it
a
for a
very
living.
you have a better perspective than a lot of these executives because I feel like you've seen more movies and you know what works and what doesn't work. And I feel like a lot of executives have not. They don't love what they're doing. They're just there a lot of the times just to make money. So I do feel like it's even though we're not writers, you and I are, movie writers, we know what works, and if we had seen an earlier version of the script, we would have been able to tell you like, hey, you need something here. You need to, mix it up a little bit. You have to do something.
Like even
Like
the table
yeah,
read, that's the thing.
yeah, that's
Before
yeah,
the table read before it goes anywhere near set. Are
yeah,
you telling me the actors sitting around a table actually reading from it in their voice, they're not picking up, and this is not working?
right, yeah. They
I
should
don't
have,
know. I don't get it.
yeah,
It's it's very very strange, like how these
yeah.
decisions get made.
So I guess just to kind of focus on some of the positives, the protagonist, probably my favorite of the three. I thought she was great. Uh, young actress. She played frightened when she was supposed to play frightened. She didn't come off as being, like, too dumb, where the horror trope of running into the basement to avoid the bad guy. She didn't do anything like stupid. Um, I thought she was fine. The idea of, Mike wishing for, Michael the angel to come and help. I thought that was a cool premise. It didn't go anywhere, but all right, that was interesting. I did like that they kept the idea that she's connected to the Djinn, so she's
Hmm.
seeing all the murders. Um, so there were some positives. I'm grasping at straws, as you could hear. Yeah,
No, it just feels like a waste. It just feels like wasted opportunity, this one.
right.
And I would like to know what happened behind the scenes more. Like that interview just is so telling by what it doesn't say.
Yeah,
That's somebody trying to remain in good graces, or get something's happened there, and it's like it's more than just presenting the script.
yeah,
Something's
yeah.
happened there, and yeah, the studio just does not understand what this is about.
And we didn't even see the Djinn enough. Like, if the movie is based on this, mythological creature that's intimidating, I'm trying to think. I can count maybe three times in my head the church scene, when he first shows up, and maybe on the roof. Like, you really didn't even see the Djinn that much, which is probably for the better because it wasn't an intimidating creature. Like, he had long ears and he didn't even look like scary.
Well, that sort of pallor grey didn't work either in the light. They didn't
Yeah,
even change the lighting. You know what I mean? At least they had a bit of steam and a bit of dry ice when they did the gin in the first two.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is just plain straight out big studio blur and lights go bah. It's like when they did the Hellraiser reboot, and you see the pictures of the Cenobites before they put all the digital stuff over the top, and it looks so plastic and rubbery and horrible.
Yeah,
And yeah, this is that. They just didn't bother putting anything over the top
yeah,
for any film grade, nothing. Just
yeah. It looks unfinished. Yeah,
mhm.
but the one thing that they did keep consistent with the previous two movies is the Djinn itself, and where the Djinn comes from, and what it takes to create a Djinn, and frankly, what the Djinn is looking for in his victim. Because a lot of people may think that, the person opening the stone is just random, and that's the one who's granted the wishes, right? The person who finds the lamp is the one who's granted the wishes. But I think there's more to it, and I have a theory about it.
Did you get one of those theories again?
I sure did.
Well, it couldn't be any worse than the script, so I suppose we better do
It's about the same.
it.
Let's do it.
Let's do the thing.
It's a theory. It's a Chris. It's a theory. Chrissy Chris. Chrissy Chris. Chrissy Chris. Chris's crazy theory.
Tinfoil Hat 2.0, and I feel
Oh, you upgraded.
I upgraded. Unlike
Oh, crap.
this sequel.
Oh my gosh, it's all shiny and gold and,
I feel
light
like
reflecting.
I feel like I put more effort in than the studio did just for
Oh
this.
my god. I'm embarrassed to wear this now. I can't wear this next to that. Disgusted by myself. No, all right, I'll put it back. But that looks freaking awesome.
Make your theory, child. That's the thing. This guy doesn't even have the voice. Like, he doesn't even have a voice or his own.
Yeah. But it is interesting. Like the protagonists in all three movies, if we've noticed, yes, they're young, attractive females, which is no, I have no complaints. But there's more to it than that. So just to bring the audience up to speed, so in this movie we have Diana, a college student, and yes, she clearly is the one that takes the stone and kind of starts the ball rolling with the Djinn being released, unlocked. I was going to say. And then we get the whole backstory where she's been through this, excuse me, this childhood trauma, where her dad doesn't feel like looking forward when he drives for entire stretches at a time.
Yeah, on a straight road.
On a straight road for
Because
miles.
the plot needs it to happen.
So, it's very tragic, but it definitely got me thinking. And of course, I had to show it come to fruition. The
explosion.
The mom and the dad, tragically blow up. And that's where, we get the origin story of this poor, protagonist. But I think it's interesting if you look back at the first movie. And the first movie, Alexandra, very similar experience. She's having this, this trauma. She's rethinking. I got you out. I didn't get mom out. I didn't get dad out of the fire. She lost both of her parents. Very, very tragic. And isn't it odd that in both cases the Djinn came to this type of character, and I don't think it's a coincidence. The sister tells her you've got to stop blaming yourself, or the whole effing thing is going to start again. So again, she's kind of reliving the same trauma, unable to, move on from what happened.
So it's not the studio going, oh, people like that, but let's do that again.
Clearly, no. I you know what? I'm worried about that new helmet of yours. I think it could have radioactive things. It's making you sound crazy. No, that's not what happened.
Seems over a couple of times with this one, so it's like got a bad now.
It might be a little too tight. Yes,
yeah,
I am worried about
squeezing my brain. I'm not thinking right.
Yeah, it's squeezing your brain. But in the second one, the character of Morgana, looking very happy-go-lucky here, she also went through a very traumatic experience. It's just they don't explain it as much in the second one, but you can infer what happened to her. She's living alone. And when she's being presented with this, awful tragedy where her boyfriend dies and this evil creature is threatening to kill all of humanity, at no point does she ever go to her friend or to her parents. So it's inferred that she's been on her own for a long time. She's turned to a life of crime. You could just tell from the decorations, there's no pictures of her with her family. So it's kind of the same situation with Morgana. So we really have three protagonists that all have suffered the loss of their parents and being alone. And I think there's a reason why the Djinn is connected to them. So from the beginnings of, the written word, there's been a lot of stories about orphans, all the way from the Adventures of Oliver Twist, Miss Peregrine. This is a little bit more, current day, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, even as far back to the Brothers Grimm with Hansel and Gretel. You have this situation where the most vulnerable in our society are younger people that have lost their parents and now have to confront the evil in the story on their own without that support system. And I think that's a reason. Now you might say, well, the characters are the ones that have opened up the Djinn. They're the ones that, open the jewel. But if you notice in the second, was it the second one? Yeah, I think it was the second one. It was the guy with the laser that actually opened it up,
Mhm.
right? And he wasn't the one granted the wishes. It was the woman. That was the first one. I'm sorry. The boyfriend in the
No, because it's a robber. The second one.
yeah, the robber in the second one.
Yeah.
But again, it's not the robber that gets the wishes. It's Morgana. And the same thing in the first one. The first one, the boyfriend is the one with the laser that opens up the jewel. And it wasn't him that was given the wishes, it was Alexandra. So I think it's a little bit of they're basically, the Djinn is picking who he wants to go after. Now you might say, why is he picking these types of characters?
Boobies.
What's that?
Boobies.
it could be boobies. That
If
is
you
the
were let's be honest. If you were trapped in a gem for 3,000 years, and you've got the option of some gnarly old bloke or boobies, what are you going for? Let's be honest. What are you
well,
going for? Come on.
boobies is the answer to 90%
Oh, did I just ruin it?
of my questions. But in this partake, this is one of the 10% where it's not just the boobies. But think of it, orphans are the most susceptible of society. They're the ones that want things to change. They're the ones that are most likely to wish for change. So if a Djinn is gravitating towards that type of a person who's been through a childhood trauma, who's trying to forget the past or change the past, they're the most likely to complete their wishes and change reality, which is perfect for what the Djinn wants. The Djinn wants the person to make the wish. So today's recipe: how to make a Djinn: 1 pint of orphan, preferably female, preferably hot, 1 dash of depression, ready for wishing, and here comes a Djinn right in your kitchen. Today's theory: the Djinn seeks out orphan young women as the most likely to wish for their reality to change. That is my theory.
Yeah, that's 100% more effort than the script of this movie.
Although my backup theory is boobies. Coming soon.
I love the way you didn't use the Wishmaster 3, Jim.
No,
You're like,
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I spent about 15 minutes and I was like,
you're
no.
utter denial. That's not happening.
That was my wish.
What do you wish? I wish Andrew Table would come back.
That's right.
Oh, brilliant. Well, then, there you go, folks.
It's a theory. It's a Chris. It's Chrissy's theory. Chrissy Chris. Chrissy Chris. Chrissy Chris. Chris's crazy theory.
Oh, dude, I could tell you were struggling just to try and get something out of this movie.
I'm very jealous of your
I
hat,
made this-
man. This thing is crap.
No, I made this morning because obviously the other one just sat and just fell about the place. So
Yeah.
because I got new earphones, so
It looks very cool. If you see it back later on screen, like the way the light reflects off it and the background is very cool.
I wasn't planned. I was just trying to get
Yeah.
it to just fit and stay. And
Nice and shiny.
well, we try for the show. Obviously,
We do.
the studio didn't for this movie,
Yeah. Yeah.
but at least we make an effort.
But it definitely seems like the Djinn has a type. I'll just say that. Yeah.
I don't question his choices because I'm not arguing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the most wasted potential of this was the Archangel Michael.
Yes.
That should have been a finale. That should have been like last act.
Yeah, I was picturing
Not halfway through the movie.
Yeah, great point. Yeah. I was picturing the movie Constantine, just like this epic battle of like angels and demons. And
But
it
even
just
that,
felt
if you
fun.
think about it, Tilda Swinton appeared like there was no real action there. It was all theater of the mind. Like when she goes to
Yeah.
release Satan's son, you know what I mean, using Spear of Destiny and that, there was actually no battle scene.
Hmm.
You got the idea of it, but it was deeper than that. If that makes sense.
Okay. It's been a minute since I've seen it, but I do.
Yeah, it wasn't just it
Yeah.
wasn't like a
Yeah.
kung fu fighting scene. Like
Right.
this was
Right. Right.
all um, it was character acting.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
you think Keanu Reeves, he slices his wrists and all to call Satan up, and that was all character acting. It wasn't actually an action scene,
Right.
but it was still impactful. Like you'll always go back to that movie if you think about it. Like you always think Constantine, and you think of the emotions and the feeling you got, as opposed to you know shiny kung fu stuff.
Right.
Because it wasn't about that. It was you got the essence of the battle between heaven and hell and humanity getting caught in the middle.
Yeah.
And that was just a bit of character acting. This has none of that. And that should have been the end. Like it didn't need an actual fight scene.
Yeah. It could have been done through dialogue and good acting. It would have been nice to know like what is like heaven's like approach, or
Hmm.
feeling about these gins. Like I wanted to learn something in this fictional universe. I love that stuff. And he didn't tell you much. The Jinn said, God doesn't care. That's the downside of free will, which I thought was an interesting, concept or whatever. But
We
you
never
can't
got the
really,
counter argument. It's
you
just
never,
left hanging. Yeah.
you never got the argument, and the Jinn is an unreliable narrator, so you don't
Hmm.
know if that's really the way things are. But if a character says something and there's no counterpoint argument, you're almost thinking like that is the reality. And I don't know. You're left kind of unsure because of who says it, because it's an unreliable narrator who manipulates.
And it was the script that the actor couldn't pull it off, but
Yeah,
being possessed as Michael, he didn't. He just became a wooden plank,
yeah,
a robot. You know what I mean? It was just
yeah,
I didn't. I wasn't behind it. I just lost it, and then the fact that he gets twatted so many times, like absolutely annihilated, and he just whimpers, and the Maul Ninja sword just got me. The sword
yeah.
of truth, or whatever they called it. Like that's that's next to the airsoft pistols in the back of the mall. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So take you order better off Temu.
That's
Fucking terrible.
that's true. That is true. Yeah.
Ah, dear. This feels like a student project, doesn't it, or something, or like a micro budget people trying just to make a movie.
Yeah, it feels like a bunch of college kids wanting to make a Wishmaster movie,
Mm-hmm.
and not having access to a movie studio's actors or writers, and let's just see what we could do. And if that was the case, then I'd be a little bit more forgiving of it.
Mm-hmm.
This is the same studio though with this that made the second movie, probably with a similar budget, probably less because they didn't have to pay Davos.
Tip off, yeah.
Davos. So it probably costs less. I don't think they give you any budget results on
They
home.
always get less budget anyway with a straight to
Yeah,
DVD sequels, so
yeah.
it's
But for
always
the
something to
amount
do.
of, but it had to be similar, if not less, than they paid for the to make the
Yeah,
second
and
one,
it just looks cheap.
and it looks cheap. Yeah, in many different ways. Yeah, yeah.
And there's another one that went full circle back to the. We'll have the second car crash in a long straight again with no traffic and no one corner.
Look, we're not the best drivers in the world, Americans. We don't have the autobahn to practice on at high speeds. We do what we can.
Oh dear, it's yeah. I thought that would have been the culmination. If that was going full circle back to your moment, but no, it wasn't that. They sort of dragged this movie on for another 10 minutes,
Yeah,
and it goes back to the where she was up in the balcony, but and Greg thought she was going to jump off. That's what they're using, and you're like, why bother with a car crash then? That's half your budget. You know, you've already had one explosion.
Right.
Why waste time with the second one? That money
Yeah.
could have been spent in so many better ways, like a better costume for the Djinn, maybe appearing more times as a Djinn.
Right. Yeah. They definitely misallocated whatever resources they
Yeah.
had. Yeah.
So frustrating. The wire work was all right. That was something like you can tell straight away it's wire work, but at least they hit it. The, it wasn't terrible.
When they fell off the building.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it was a little strange though that excuse
Or
me.
the wire work, he's holding her up and stuff.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
There's 9 times out of 10 you actually see the cuff getting pulled up with a wire. Have you ever seen movies when they're doing that?
Yeah. Yeah.
'Cause
That's a good
was
point.
what was that Schwarzenegger one? As a commando, where he's holding the guy over the cliff by his leg,
Oh, I
and
haven't
you can
seen
see
that
the
in so
wire
long.
getting right up
Okay.
to his trousers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it was
but even the fall itself, like, so all right, he goes to save her, which is, an interesting twist because she's trying to kill herself
she
so that
sacrificed herself so she
she
can't make
sacri-
a wish.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then he's trying to save her. So I thought that was, an interesting plot point. But then they both fall and you think, okay, they're both going to die. But then they make it seem like she lands on him without any kind of like impact or anything like that. And then in my head, I'm like, oh, okay, he broke her fall because it didn't really look like it was a bad fall. Obviously, it looked like it was high up,
Yep.
but the way that it was shot, it looked somewhat of a gentle landing with her landing on top of him. So then I'm thinking in my head, like, I haven't fallen from a third-story building, maybe she is okay because it didn't look like the impact was that rough. And she doesn't have any bruises or anything like that. But then she rolls over to the side and and then it dies. So the whole way it was shot, it was just very confusing.
Yeah. That's once again, if they could have maybe spent the money that they wasted in the second car explosion on that.
Yeah.
That was your finale. Like the car crash served no purpose.
Right.
Served no purpose. This
Yeah.
is what they should have been building up to, but yeah, this movie it just felt like they're just going through the motions. I'm having
Yeah.
a time.
And I struggled to find one funny part, and there was tons of them in the first two. I was laughing out loud the first two movies at parts. Like the only thing I could think of looking back was where he calls that was it Elizabeth, the student, like a heartbreaker, and her heart explodes. I don't know. That wasn't really.
Yeah, but that was so telegraphed as well. Like
Yeah, that wasn't that funny. Like
no. Once again, it's charisma, isn't it? You can't buy it. You can't manufacture it.
yeah,
You can't create in a lab on-screen chemistry.
right.
You just can't.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh well.
yeah.
I was saying, I think I was saying it wasn't terrible. Now I think about it, yeah, it wasn't even offensively bad. It was just meh. Like
And
it's forgettable. You're just like, meh. What are they doing here?
yeah, it was definitely forgettable. And one one problem I have with franchises is like whatever rules you set up, whatever you could breathe in space, you could do this, these people could fly, these people can do this, whatever rules. I buy into premises very easily.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of a simple-minded person, as it turns out. But whatever rules you come up with in a movie franchise, stick with it. So the first two movies that ends with the character wishing for something that changes everything back. And I like that idea. And
Yeah.
it didn't have to be exactly the same. You didn't have to end the movie the same way, but the way this one ended, like we're supposed to be like happy for her because she survived and Greg survived. But then you stop and think about it for a sec, and like her best friend is dead. The other student, Billy, is dead.
Yep.
Like she's not in a better place than she was. Like she started the movie by having this trauma about her parents dying in a car crash, And the end of the movie,
But
she
that was not
survived.
even related to her finding the gem.
Right,
Like,
exactly.
if you think about the first one was a crane dropping because the crane operator had been drinking, and that was the whole crux. The second was they're robbing a museum and shot a security guard, which that was the big thing to get undone. This she didn't actually do it. Nothing happened to like cause that regret or for her to do anything. And
Right,
the final wish should have been the spirit of Michael. That should have been the final wish. And the Djinn getting beat back by the angel and are having this heavenly experience.
right.
Not halfway through the movie where they then get this wooden plank just going. It's not even RoboCop. Like Peter Weller made an effort with RoboCop. He got the humanity and the struggle. I can't describe. I can't find a comparison for the robotic angel
Yeah,
inhabited Greg. I just don't get it. I can't think of there's nothing even springing to mind. This was so bland and badly done,
yeah,
and a wasted opportunity. Should have been the finale. It should have ended in the church,
right.
and she should have called up the spirit of Michael. And then it should have just been a quick, you know, inhabits Greg, and as a thank you, returns Greg to her, for example, as Greg was down.
That would have worked better. But also, to me, the way you start the movie with her reliving this trauma every day, at the end of the movie, the way it ends with her best friend dead,
Mhm.
going through this traumatic experience with this evil creature, professor's dead, all these people are dead, and she's relived. Do you really think she's going to be in a good place? Like that trauma at the beginning of the movie is going to go away? If
No, she's
anything,
going to be
it's going to be
prepared.
worse.
Mhm.
So, like, then what? Which is fine. If you, I'm not saying every ending has to be a happy ending, but if you start the movie with the premise of this is what the character's going through, and we're hoping for growth by the end, I don't. I'm not left with the feeling that there's any growth at all as far as her trauma going away or being able to deal with it, because she's just been this second traumatic experience.
Yep.
So it leaves me kind of hollow. Like, well, if you're going to do a sad ending or a depressing ending, that's fine. But then why even bring up that trauma in the beginning? Because it was not resolved. You know what I
No,
mean?
and to be honest, there's some more of the movie budget spent in the first car explosion that could have been used for better, better means.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Really does. I honestly glossed over this one back in because it's been decades since I've seen these, at least more than a decade. And yeah, I've completely spaced the third one, and I know why now.
Yeah.
It's just I'll forget this by the time we get to the next one.
Okay.
Because
I can
honestly,
see
it's
it.
just
Yeah.
meh.
Yeah.
It just they're no effort, no effort at all. Didn't care, so I don't care.
Right.
I'm not even
Exactly.
angry at it. I'm just like that was a waste of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a bit of money laundering going on. Hope they got the tax break that they were aiming for with this because it serves no other purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right
I
then.
think you said it. You said it perfect. Yeah.
All right then. So that was a movie. Yeah, yeah. It just goes down. I just wait till we get to the fourth one, like the final act of the fourth one. Just you tell me how you think about that one, because yeah,
Excuse me. Well, the good thing about this movie is it set the bar nice and low,
yeah.
so that fourth one will have a very easy time of clearing that bar.
Okay, but we're not going there yet because we'll go back to Critters.
Nice.
Critters 3. More cheesy goodness.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah. But there you go. There's another one. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. And just as saying, until next time, keep updated with the channel, do the technical things, and remember to keep it creepy, keep it horrific.